Hello, and welcome to another episode of Low Tech Health. Let ourselves translate expert knowledge. Tonight, I'm bringing you an episode of Say Something Nice to Me Saturday. Don't you freeze on me, meow. That's twice at 7 seconds. It freezes on me, meow. But not tonight, meow. We're going to stay moving, which is one of the themes of tonight's episode. Keep moving. Movement. Life. Every cell in your body urges you to move, and it urges every part of you to continue to move, to assess threats, to look at these, and to... I just pulled out a brain out of my nose. Speaking of pulling things out, keeping moving is one of the most important parts of health care. What am I talking about moving? Your bowels. Why? Why is it so important? Why? Well, in case you've forgotten about Elvis Presley, constipation kills. And I had a patient today who was one of these Elvis types who I've had dozens of admitted to the hospital for a syncopal event on the toilet. That's right. They get to the bathroom, they push really hard, and they vagal down, which vagal is respective of the vagus nerve, which is a very long nerve running all the way down to make sure that your body maintains a homeostatic blood pressure. And when there's a lot of pressure in the lower area, there's a lot of force, it sucks the blood from this little meaningless thought machine that has no say in what that asshole does. So the body reverts all the blood and goes to the butt. And basically, you pass out. You get dizzy and you have syncope, which is that whiting out, blacking out, where the elevator doors close, and there's not enough blood to your brain to keep it perfused and awake. So you fall, hit something, or you just fall and stay there. Now, what has to happen when you come to the hospital? Well, first of all, we have to make sure we turn your heart back on and keep it working and keep you getting oxygen with a tube generally. After that, we try to take all the fluid that's been accumulating and pressing on your heart. And after we do that, as we're doing that, what's the most important thing? We get the killer turd out. How do we do that? Time, luck. We hope eventually the stress response of being intubated cools off and they're able to loosen their bowels, or we'll put a tube in there. We will. It's terrible. The ICU's horrifying phrase is we have a tube for every hole. And if you don't have a hole, we can make one and put a tube in there. I have a strong stomach. I just ate. And that doesn't make me feel comforted. So where am I going with this? Say something nice to me Saturday. Well, I'm glad you're shitting. That's the main thing I say to patients when they come to the hospital, because a lot of times they're older and they don't feel good. They feel very bad, especially because they've come in an unplanned execution of their bodies taking over because they don't know how to listen to the habit, or bad things happen. But they become incontinent, or they were incontinent before, and it wasn't such a big deal because there was no one around. And now there's somebody around, and generally we nurses are young, and there's a pride that is hard to admit that you need help from older generations. So I always make sure to be as encouraging as possible. I am glad you're pooping, because diarrhea doesn't kill in the way bowel obstructions kill. Bowel obstructions kill. And Everyone knows in the hospital you're not really allowed to die. Not naturally, without a lot of paperwork. So, when this bowel obstruction kills you, we bring you back. And how do we do that? We press on your chest really hard to get that fluid moving to your brain because we're hoping we can put enough oxygen in that fluid to get it to your brain and keep you alive. Where does that leave the butthole? That's right. He's checked out. There's no longer any sphincter control. So, naturally, there's shit everywhere. The unspoken, unseen truth that Grey's Anatomy does not show you. When you code a patient who was admitted, maybe FOS, full of stool, didn't have to be a bowel obstruction even, when they pass, it's a lot of doo-doo. So, yeah, I prefer my patients to poop while they're alive. Let that sink in and say something nice to yourself. Like, I'm full. Love you guys.